Good, happy Friday morning, January 3rd, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Friday morning, so let's begin. First up, Booker draws crowd in Exeter, frustrated that he has not qualified for Democratic debate. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Siobhan Lopez.
What's tasty and healthy and better than gummy vitamins? Viactive Calcium Chocolate Chew with 30%.
All right, on to commitment 2020 now, and with just 40 days until the first-in-the-nation primary, Democratic candidates for president are ramping up their campaigns right here in New Hampshire. WMUR Siobhan Lopez is live in Exeter, where Cory Booker spoke to voters tonight. Siobhan?
Well, Booker has been consistent here in New Hampshire, drawing big crowds, but has yet to qualify for the next debate, something he says is frustrating. More than 400 voters turn out at Exeter High School to hear Cory Booker speak about his vision for America.
We understand that to win, to beat Donald Trump, and to take back the Senate, we got to get the full Obama coalition energized.
The New Jersey senator says he has seen this kind of energy on the ground both in New Hampshire and Iowa, but was absent from the last debate and is yet to qualify for the next one in 2 weeks. As one of the few candidates of color left in the race, he's eager to have his voice heard.
So they're basing a debate stage based upon who can affect the national polls. Well, the national polls have never predicted who would be our president. They never have.
Booker spoke about the need to come together as a country.
He just hits me right in the gut, in the soul of my body.
I'm still sorting, but Cory hit me tonight.
Onita Suter has voted Republican most of her life, including for Donald Trump in 2016.
Unfortunately, I did. Regretted it ever since. So I'm really heading this way.
Corinne Baker has seen Booker in person 4 times and believes he deserves a place on the national debate stage.
So inspiring. I just hope more people can get to see him.
Booker says a lack of qualifying polling in early states these last 2 months has also contributed to keeping him off the debate stage. We're live in Exeter tonight. Siobhan Lopez, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Buttigieg says he's ready to lead country as president. Former mayor makes campaign swing through New Hampshire. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
Technology package with up to 15 different views, including one enhanced view that...
A year ago, few knew his name, but now, Pete Buttigieg, the 37-year-old Afghanistan war veteran who just wrapped up 2 terms as mayor of South Bend, Indiana, is in position to compete for a top spot in the New Hampshire primary. As far as he's come, it's still a long way until first-in-the-nation ballots are cast. Sitting down for an interview that will air Sunday on Close Up, we asked Buttigieg how he plans to make his closing argument. What do you say to those voters who are looking now at a Joe Biden, an Amy Klobuchar, a Michael Bennet, because they feel that you will need too much on-the-job training to be president?
Well, there's no job quite like the presidency, and I get that. Then again, even though we're more used to seeing senators, you can be a very senior senator in our country and have never in your life managed more than 100 people.
Buttigieg believes his management experience will translate and contends he's exactly the kind of youthful, change candidate that traditionally wins the White House for Democrats. He's also pushing back on criticism from other primary contenders. Elizabeth Warren likes to poke fun at the fact that you had a fundraiser in a wine cave. Is she being disingenuous on that front when it comes to these high-dollar fundraisers?
Well, we're talking about somebody who has also had fundraisers at wineries. Look, these process questions, I think, maybe they're good for scoring points in a debate, but this is a conversation about the future of the republic.
Trying to maintain a policy focus on his 15th trip to the Granite State, Buttigieg is also honing in on key New Hampshire issues like perfluorochemical contamination in drinking water.
So the number of parts per trillion should be set by science, not by any politician. What I will do as a policymaker is see to it that we have a science-based standard, and that in addition to standards, we have adequate enforcement.
Adam Sexton, WMUR, News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at your 2020 New Hampshire candidate tracker for today, January 3rd, 2020. And we have two candidates in New Hampshire today. The first candidate, Cory Booker. He has one event today in New Hampshire. Meet and greet with immigrant-led small businesses at Zico Corporation in Nashua, New Hampshire at 12:45 p.m. And Pete Buttigieg, he has two events today in New Hampshire. His first event, Town Hall, at the North Conway Community Center in North Conway, New Hampshire at 11:30 a.m. And his second event, Town Hall at South Church in Portsmouth, New Hampshire at 6:15 p.m. Those are the two candidates in New Hampshire today. John F. Kennedy collection going to auction includes presidential announcement speech. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Gene Mackin.
So Chevy Silverado offers an optional technology package with up to 15 different views, including one enhanced view.
It's like opening a treasure chest of American history. RR Auction in Amherst is sharing the catalog of the John F. Kennedy collection going on the auction block.
The finest, most comprehensive single collection of John F. Kennedy memorabilia and photographs ever put together.
Opening bid is $1.5 million. The collector hopes this is purchased by a museum or institution, calling it an exhibit waiting to happen.
There's photographs of him and his wife at Cape Cod, the president and Jackie. And this is when he was at Harvard. He wrote a dissertation, golf balls, that were used by the president. This collection is so comprehensive that it tells the story visually of John F. Kennedy's entire life. From the time he goes to grade school, learns to sign his name, going to war, losing his brother, being injured in a PT-109, running for Congress, Senate, running for president.
Including his handwritten speech announcing his intention to run for president, dated January 2nd, 1960. Kennedy then launched his campaign for president right here in front of Nashua City Hall 60 years ago this month. A bronze statue marks the moment in history. It was January 25th, 1960. He stood in the snow addressing New Hampshire primary voters. He won 85% of Democratic votes in the March primary. He went on to win the White House in November of that year.
John F. Kennedy's legacy and the whole Kennedy's family's legacy and presence is still felt here in New England.
Bids begin now with the auction taking place January 23rd. In Nashua, Gene Mackin, WMUR, News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. For sent to hospital after ice flies off truck, smashes vehicle's windshield. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Mike Cronin. It is believed ice came from truck with New Hampshire license plates, police say.
I got a call from my daughter, frantic, that there was an accident.
It's the call every parent dreads. Joseph Nelson's daughter, son-in-law, and 2 grandkids were heading north to visit him in Tuftonboro. They were on Route 3 in Burlington, Massachusetts, when a sheet of ice smashed their windshield.
The wind is what took the ice off and blew it onto his car.
Mass State Police say the ice came from the roof of a commercial truck being driven by a 55-year-old Litchfield man. Nelson says they weren't even directly behind him. They were 2 lanes over from the truck.
I feel bad for the driver. Obviously it wasn't his intent for this to happen, but you need to clean your vehicles off and your cars before you get on the highway.
Nelson's son-in-law, Newton Mass firefighter Eric Travers, was behind the wheel and took the brunt of it.
Facial lacerations resulting in stitches to the nose, concussion. My grandson did have a small laceration on his cheek.
Another driver followed the box truck to Chelmsford, where police pulled him over. Authorities say his truck is owned by Diggins & Rose Moving Systems of Hudson. Tonight, that moving company says it has no comment.
5 or 10 minutes before they get into their vehicle in this weather could have prevented this.
Jessica's Law requires drivers in New Hampshire to clear snow and ice off their cars. Massachusetts doesn't have a specific snow and ice law, but officers can cite or warn someone for something like this.
Very scary, but thank God everybody's okay.
And that's actually what police ended up doing. They issued warnings to that Litchfield driver. Officers say he cooperated with them and told them he didn't know about the ice on his roof. Live in the newsroom, Mike Cronin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Hundreds of thousands of dollars wagered as sports betting app launches. New Hampshire officials say thousands registered for accounts. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Mike Cherry.
Trying hard to get a better signal? Enjoy clear cell phone talking with signalbooster.com.
Legalized sports betting in New Hampshire is already paying off for the state.
Within the first 24 hours of the mobile betting app going live this week, the state lottery reported more than 6,000 people registered for the DraftKings platform, wagering more than $250,000. Some are hoping that this is only the beginning.
Sports fans, most of which are pretty dedicated. So getting them more involved with the sports experience here within our four walls, I think is going to be key for us.
Mobile sports betting in New Hampshire is attracting out-of-state interest with a number of accounts registered in Massachusetts, but they can only make bets when within New Hampshire border.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Dow futures drop 200 points after U.S. airstrike kills Iran's top military leader. U.S. stock index futures were sharply lower Friday morning after the U.S. confirmed an airstrike that killed a top Iran commander. Leader of Iran's elite squad force killed in airstrike near Benghazi airport. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
We begin with breaking news from Iraq. Reports of a missile strike at the Baghdad International Airport. Those reports claiming there are civilian casualties. It comes amid that showdown with Iran. President Trump blaming Iran for 2 days of violent protests at the U.S. Embassy there in Baghdad. Hundreds of additional U.S. troops rushed to the region, including these from the 82nd Airborne, boarding planes at Fort Bragg. And tonight, Defense Secretary Mark Esper warning that Iran may be planning new attacks on U.S. interests. ABC's chief global affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz leading us off.
Tonight, reports of civilian casualties at the Baghdad International Airport after a reported missile strike hit a cargo area, which shut the airport down. And tonight, we are learning a top Iranian commander was killed in a missile strike. This follows the stunning attack on the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, one of the most fortified in the world. For 2 straight days, Iranian-backed militias and Iraqi supporters hurling rocks, setting embassy rooftops and guard posts on fire, and ramming bulletproof windows while chanting, "Down, down with America." Nearly 900 additional U.S. forces were rushed to the region, with thousands more on alert if they are needed. With the Pentagon warning today that Iran may be planning more attacks on U.S. interests in the region, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs insisted that when it comes to protecting the embassy, there is sufficient combat power there, he said, air and ground, that anyone who attempts to overrun it will run into a buzzsaw.
Martha Raddatz joining us right now from Washington. And Martha, we're still getting more details about that missile strike on the airport, but what is the ultimate goal of those who attack the embassy?
Well, Whit, they say they want all U.S. troops out of Iraq and Syria, but so far their actions have only led to an increase in U.S. forces. Whit?
All right, Martha Raddatz, our thanks to you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.